What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We already got a whole gang of people here in chat, and if you notice, I didn't do the whole usual thing. I didn't play the song and all that. Kind of want to jump into the topic that we have this evening, and we'll just go through and greet everybody. Welcome to all the channel members. We appreciate you guys so much, and it's kind of crazy. We know we've seen history has told us that tyrants are almost never held accountable for their actions, and civilians are usually punished at the hands of them, at the boot of them, if you will. and we have a crazy story today that some of you guys have probably heard. But it's a possibility some of you guys have only heard one side of it. And I know when I first heard the story, I heard that a madman was caught with a bunch of guns and a bunch of passports and IDs or fake IDs and all this stuff. It's kind of a crazy story, but we're gonna jump into it with the man that actually is being accused of all these things, and that's why tonight the show is called The International Smear Campaign of Vem Miller. So I appreciate all you guys coming in and hanging out, and we're going to spend some time with the man himself. And before we do, we'll go through and greet everybody in chat. I appreciate you all so much. So first in chat tonight was Slide Bite, brother. Great to see you. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Kurt24, brother, great to see you. Also, not only a channel member but a moderator as well. So show some respect. Blue Curtain Burner, brother, also a channel member. Appreciate you, my guy. We got Johnny Propane, another channel member. Appreciate you. Mark Tucker, Mopka, great to see you, brother. Kurt24, Mike McClune, the Goon, brother, great to see you. Appreciate you as well. All you guys, thank you so much for coming in and hanging out. Kurt24, the producer of the show. Let's see, Mike McClune, the Goon. Who else we got in here? What other channel members? Let's see, Mark Tucker, Zanti, brother. There you are. Great to see you. Also a channel member. Appreciate you. It's so funny. I had somebody hit me up on Instagram, and they were like, "Yo, when you say channel member, it sounds like Marine Gun Builder." I was like, "I know. That's kind of the joke, right? It goes back a couple of years. Anyway, thank you. Appreciate y'all. Let's see. Zanti Misfit, channel member. Steve Whoop, brother. What's up, man? Great to see you. Also a channel member. Appreciate you. Jordan Vinro. In a response to your message, Jordan Vinro, there I didn't see anything else, but I'll holler at you offline and we'll chat. All right, so let's see who else. Zanti Misfit, Steve Whoop, both channel members. Appreciate y'all. John Crump live, brother. Great to see you. What up, Dookie? Pulling that Gert Chop language. Great to see you. Levi, brother, great to see you as well. Also a channel member. Appreciate you. Excuse me. Let's see. Zanti Misfit. TMC, brother, great to see you. The NFA is still unconstitutional as applied to individuals. I know. Is it ever going to change? I don't know. Great point. Let's see. Steve Woo, too many choices. Let's see who else. I just want to make sure I hit all the channel members. Let's see. TMC. Johnny Barr. Did I miss you, Johnny Barr? Great to see you, brother. Also a channel member. Appreciate you, man. Got a cheese, Mr. Fromage. Great to see you, my guy. Also a channel member. Appreciate you. Santi Misfit, Kurt24. Let's see who else we got. Steve Whoop, Johnny Barr. Live life, brother. Great to see you. And I saw that video you posted. He was able to get his hands on some blades from Definition Knives. Appreciate you, man. These are great. They've been a huge passion project of ours, and to see them actually getting out in y'all's hands is awesome. So appreciate y'all so much, man. We got G23, Fat Gray Man. We got Fire Rider. Great to see you, fellas. Thank you so much. P38, Wilberto. Great to see you, my brother. Let's see. Tex Bullington, bro. Great to see you. Jordan Vinro, of course. Safety Haba. Great to see you, brother. Dang old Matt. Slide Bite. All you guys. I appreciate y'all so much. 80 degrees. What? It should not be 80 degrees today. That is insane. John Pauly, where you been at, bro? Great to see you, man. All you guys that are in here, man. Right? Lies. It's all lies. Appreciate y'all, man, so much. So we're gonna go ahead and bring on the guest here, and I want you guys to remember, and this is kind of like uh, I guess a reality check in a way, right? Because anytime we hear anything on any form, not even just mainstream media, even on alt media, even on what you see and hear on your favorite, YouTube channel, your favorite, whatever, Instagram, Rumble, all this stuff all over the place. We have to remember that, you're hearing one perspective. And while people are running around telling all these lies, individuals' lives are being destroyed. So we have to remember that. So when you do take in information, you have to be hyper vigilant. You have to go out, do your own research, and come to your own conclusion. Don't let anybody tell you shit about what you should be thinking. And I know you guys are smarter than that, but it goes without saying. But I am still going to say it. So anyway, if you heard about the crazed man with the guns and passports and all that stuff, his name is Vin Miller, and we're going to go ahead and bring him on to the show.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good, good. Just making the rounds, trying to get the story out. And
Yeah, man.
yeah,
I
thanks for
see
having
you.
me on your show, though, man. I really appreciate it. It's like, yeah, all you guys are closing the gap with the mainstream media. And one thing I just wanted to say in starting was, when this all began, it was like an immense tidal wave. You guys all remember when the first assassination attempt happened, they
Mm,
wouldn't even call it that. And it was like trickling into the news. When it came to this fake news version of an assassination attempt, it was like a tidal wave coming at me. Like literally every media outlet in the mainstream all of a sudden came after me and immediately started publishing my name. There was pictures of me, the fat version of me, the skinny version of me, the glasses, the not glasses, the hat, the not hat, and it was just all put out there and really put me in a really bad situation where I can't even walk down the street without people recognizing me. And that's not the sort of I didn't want to become infamous. And frankly, I never wanted to become famous because I spent my whole career being behind the camera. And the only time I was in front of the camera was for my Little Blood Money podcast, where we interview people about conspiracy, controversy, and corruption. And
mm,
then this thing happens. But what happened there was a miracle that I've never seen before. Usually when fake news comes out about any topic, whether, it's 9/11, the Iraq war, the housing crisis, the COVID-19, it takes months, sometimes years to
mm,
turn that back to get the truth out. But this was within 24 hours. Our ragtag team of patriots just knew me. They knew me. They knew I'm not that guy. And fortunately, I work with a lot of well-connected individuals that are, fighting the good fight.
mm,
And literally within 24 hours, the truth was out there. Now, the people that are headline readers that are too busy to, like, I guess, search for the truth are still not informed, but at least I know that the core movement knows exactly what's going on, knows that this was absolute nonsense. It was literally a sheriff operating under the color of law, not even having done his research, not even having looked at body cams to see that there was no incident. And then he blew it up, and like you said, called me a lunatic, made statements that I had made verbal statements that I was there to kill the P, and but it's because of like people like you that this is getting out. And I think we should be very proud because the mainstream media has been a cancer to this country on many levels. It's the reason why I started the America Happens Network, americahappens.com. And I just, it seems like we're at a cusp of an amazing time in history, and it's because of people like you that have put in your time and dime into getting the truth out there. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man, and I think honestly, although and I have gratitude for what you said, but the reality is that one thing that you said that really stuck with me was that you know when there's real information that has been confirmed and validated, it's almost impossible to find. When there's fake, bogus info that they just want to run with, it is everywhere. You cannot escape it, and they just red team go, and it is everywhere. That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Y you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
we always talk about, like, not taking, like, the first thing that you hear, right? Taking it and actually doing research and coming to, like, your own conclusion instead of just, taking whatever bullshit, even from, like, the alt media or whatever you wanna call it, right? But, yeah, man, it seems that, it's always the fake bullshit that they wanna run with that,
Yeah.
they're pulling the strings on every, major network. But, you actually did an excellent video because this is kinda what you do. I would love to play the video, but, do you just wanna give kind of a quick intro, let everyone know, like, who you are, what you do, where they can find you? And I'd love to just play the video if you're cool with it.
Yeah, totally. My name is Van Miller. I grew up in LA, Hollywood. I've been in production and, the creative arts since like early 90s as a kid, and became a music video director. I was quite successful directing pretty big videos between 2001, 2008. 2009, I started selling TV shows. Around 2018, after having a successful run as an executive producer, selling and producing TV shows and show running and helping to run development for some networks out there, then I basically took a little bit of time off, and then I restarted the America Happens Network because I had originally started in the early 2000s as a response to George W. Bush and the Patriot Act and the infringement upon our freedoms, the first kind of era of cancel culture that I'd experienced for anybody that spoke out against the Bush agenda. They were pretty much destroyed. So I felt it was necessary to start something to counter that. I fell for the lies of Barack Obama, so I basically pulled the plug on the first version of America Happens in 2008 after we went viral on MySpace and we were featured on Young Turks. And then to 2020, I basically restarted it, and we've been building grassroots, trying to get the truth out there with my business partner Mindy Robinson, making documentaries, making podcasts. She made a really great Route 91 documentary about the Las Vegas mass shooting, and that's what we do. And Bundy versus Deep State is our latest piece. Really shows the crux of where the corruption's coming from, why our rights are being violated, which you could find on the America Happens website, americahappens.com.
Yeah, I did. I definitely want to check that out. I was hearing you talk about that, and there's I don't know how much you can talk about it, but that's kind of what you do. That's your thing. And prior to this whole incident occurring, and you can tell me to shut up because I don't know how much you've shared, publicly, but you were actually following some tractor trailers. Can I mention that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because that's in public now. Patrick Byrne, who was one of the individuals that I handed the evidence that I gathered, he actually started talking about on October 18. And since then, I'm basically repeating the stuff that is already exposed. There's more to it, but I'm just really, I want to be careful because I handed it to them and they're taking over. I don't know what's been done since then, especially since this thing happened on October 12th. Since then, I've just been really trying to clear my name and get the right word out. So I don't know,
For
hopefully I
sure.
can get my life back and stuff.
Yeah, dude, you were saying you can't even book a hotel without somebody thinking you're a lunatic. But you were basically following. I guess there was 150 18-wheeler tractor trailers that were
Yeah.
filled with ballots, all coming from California when they were
Tacoma,
supposed to be
Tacoma,
coming.
Tacoma,
Oh, I'm
Washington.
sorry, yes, Tacoma, Washington, when they were supposed to be coming from Arizona,
Yeah,
right?
Rayburn's the name of the company that's supposed to print the ballots. So it made little sense that in Tacoma, Washington, where we are yet to find any printing facilities there, right next to a port where big shops dock, evidence of the crane being used, evidence of individuals there that are not authorized handling ballots, that don't have ID, evidence that 5 whistleblowers that they're told they're not supposed to talk about anything that's happening, that their job's on the line, that they're being surveilled the entire time, that everything's got GPS, and the back of the trailers have cameras. So if they go in there, they'll get caught, alarms will go off. Actual truck stop locations but they were told these are the only places you could stop. During that 2-hour thing that I just did, where we called the DOJ and the FBI trying to submit a crime report about what happened on October 12th. I actually showed some videos of me literally chasing down trucks. When it came to a point where you could actually see the brand of the truck, I didn't want to show that because I don't want to expose the company yet, because Patrick has not exposed that. But it's one company with like a shell between a shell and or within a shell. The principals of this company have criminal backgrounds, but for some reason they've never done jail. So when I hear stuff like that, knowing working in the music business, knowing for a real long time that P Diddy was protected, he also stole some money from me because I was supposed to direct a music video for him, and kind of knowing what kind of character he is, whenever that sort of thing happens where you have criminal background but like not punishment for those criminal backgrounds, it always starts seeming a little shady. So that a lot of alarm bells start going off there.
Yeah, that's crazy. And like I said in the beginning of the show, like how often are any of these people held to
Yeah.
account for their actions? It just doesn't happen. So I I'm going to go ahead and share this video. I'm going to screen share it, and it's got for everyone out there watching. It's like a 17 or so minute video, so it's
Mhm.
not short. But this is going to give you guys clarity on the entire thing, and you're actually going to be able to watch. If you haven't seen it yet, you're going to be able to watch a man who some people call a sheriff, basically begging for publicity and an opportunity to put his face and name. I've never seen a sheriff be so desperate for clicks. Like, this is
Mhm.
crazy to see this, but you guys are going to see that, and then you'll hear the other side of the story, which all of the mainstream media happen to have left out through this whole
And
process.
by the
And
way, after they
Mhm.
carpet bomb my life with lies, none of the mainstream media has. And by the way, they gave him hours and hours of time. He was using that to basically whore himself out to all these different, networks, radio shows, telling his side of the story, the absolute lies, and then they haven't allowed me time. Like, you would think that after all that, like a Fox or a Newsmax would say, hey, come in and let's do an in-depth interview and clear your name. But no, that hasn't happened, and that just shows you what absolute scumbags these networks are, including some of the networks that claim to be on our side, like the Newsmaxes of the world. OAN has invited me, by the way, a few times. Frank Speech has invited me, but the Fox and Newsmax are too scared, despite the truth.
Yeah, that's bullshit. OAN is usually, pretty solid, but it's hard to trust anyone
Mhm.
nowadays, Um, and by the way, while I play this, if at any point you want me to pause it or anything like that, just shout out, let me know, and I'll do that. And I think this should play through the headphones. I was gonna start it right here.
I am glad that
Right where he starts talking, but, I think it's important that
Yeah,
everyone's
let's
gonna
play the whole
see.
thing. Let's play the
Yeah,
whole thing. So
yeah.
I hope your audience is cool, but this is an important thing to sit through 17 minutes, because it just shows you the arc. It shows you the arc of bullshit. It shows you everything that is the truth, and then you see these blatant lies. So hopefully it doesn't bore you.
Yeah, dude, so I'll tell you, usually, like, on this show, like, sometimes we'll run for 2, 3 hours,
Mhm.
and, the OGs that are the dudes that are always here, and even shout out to the chicks that are always here, they're in it for the long haul, so 17 minutes is nothing to them, so
Cool if I close my camera while you're doing that, so I could text and
yeah,
all that.
do
Okay,
your thing, man, do your thing.
the camera. Yeah. Hi there. Could everybody hear me?
Let me
yes,
know that you guys got
Okay,
audio
excellent.
too.
So I'm the guy that was falsely accused of being at that rally to assassinate our former president. And I'm here to say that because of the events that happened there and the completely and utterly just detail by detail false allegations, including that I made verbal threats to assassinate the president, that I said that's what I was there for, including, being called by this current sheriff as a lunatic, unhinged, and all these other things. My life is forever changed. Today I'm at a press conference with police protection. I've had to hire a bodyguard. My elderly parents, who are 83 and 77, have been harassed, threatened. I watched my dad on video yesterday as his hands were trembling, and he's had multiple strokes, 10 heart attacks, high blood pressure, diabetes, and his entire body is shaking like he is about to have another stroke. And this is the direct result of a power-hungry sheriff who thought that he could use the opportunity of this very unique situation where Trump was actually visiting California in order to further his political career.
so during the investigation, obviously those identification documents were found, in addition to a loaded handgun and a shotgun.
Totally
So that's a
lawful.
blatant lie. My firearms were not found. In fact, I declared them, and here's the evidence. How you doing, sir? Hi. So I have a question. So I'm a Trump caucus captain, but I want to be totally transparent. I'm from Nevada, and I do have my firearms in the back.
You have firearms with you?
Yeah, in the back in the trunk. But obviously, I want to be totally transparent. But yeah,
Okay. How many firearms do you have?
I have a shotgun and I have a handgun, and it's all in the back right there. Obviously, I'm not taking this down with me, just in my car, and I want to let you guys know.
Okay. You have your ID, VIP pass, and all
Yeah,
that?
yeah, totally.
And you could actually Google me. I ran for office as a Republican and all that, but probably why I have a gun. So that's my ID right there. And then right here is my and
You're
I'm
gonna pull up
sure.
into that little alcove right there.
Okay. And that's my pass right there.
Okay. So you're gonna pull up right in that little alcove right there.
Right there. Okay, cool. Thank you. Do you guys want to hang on to it? I mean, I don't mind you guys holding on to
They'll
it either.
decide what they're gonna do.
Okay.
Just pull up in the alcove.
All right. Thank you.
Chad Bianco also falsely stated that I had fake passports, multiple driver's license, fake IDs. And that's also not true. I have a U.S. passport. I have a Canadian passport because I was born in Canada. And as a naturalized citizen, you automatically get a passport. And then I have my driver's license. I only have one driver's license, not multiple.
I am glad that we're not talking about this after we shot him. If you're asking me right now, I probably did have deputies that prevented the third assassination attempt. He was a lunatic. It's people trying to do
Lunatic.
harm, and thank God we prevented it. And we know that we prevented something bad from happening, and it's irrelevant what that bad was going to be. I truly do believe that we prevented another assassination attempt.
He did.
Okay, hold on. He said, we know that we prevented the third assassination. It's like, bro, come on, man. Spare me, please.
This without having a shred of evidence to back up the insane claims he was making. And had I not been, an investigative journalist, knowing, this kind of police officer, bad cops that use their badge under the color of law to essentially shield themselves from crimes that they are doing. And since then, I've actually gotten, thousands of pages of other things that the sheriff has done, including what's happening in the jails there, including people that have been beat up, harassed, threatened, the $7.5 million lawsuit, and a lot of other things. Now, what I will say to you guys is that I was astute enough to record the entire incursion on my car, and I've released that on my Twitter account, which is not them Miller, N-O-T them Miller. I keep releasing evidence to show that the sheriff is a complete liar, his deputy is a complete liar, and it's very sad what has happened here, because on the surface value, we're supposed to be both constitutional Republicans, but once you dig further, you realize that that is not the intention and actions of the sheriff. And with this lawsuit coming, I really hope this board does the right thing and doesn't tie themselves to this corrupt individual and thereby destroy the credibility of this county. I will give you guys my second cell phone number. If anybody has questions, you can call me on 702-601-9618. Please first text me. That's once again 702-601-9618. Text me, and I'm willing to speak to anybody to correct the record, show evidence, a lot of which is on my actual Twitter account. Plus, there's a video there where I explain what happened, followed by the audio of my first interaction with the police that clearly shows that I wasn't there to assassinate.
All right. Thank you, sir. Your time is up. And was that cell number just for the 5 of us? Just next speaker, please.
All right, everyone. I'm going to keep this introduction very brief. In terms of who Sheriff Bianco is, you've heard a lot
for sure.
from me.
Let me pull up
today
and pause
you will
it.
hear from this.
All right, go ahead.
So I think what's important to share is that guy there that says, was that for us? Was that for us? And he's wearing his nice suit, manicured nails and all that. They're the only ones that give him the budget to do what he does. So they are actually the plug that could stop it. But in that moment, he doesn't even know his role. I think he knows his role, but what I've heard is that the raise that he got, the $300,000 that he makes, was tied in with the raise these guys got. So they're in cahoots with one another, according to other whistleblowers that are coming forward. So just putting that out, because they're supposed to police him and make sure he does his job right. And they don't even, like, he's like, oh, is that for us? Is that for us? Yeah, like, fuck yeah, it's for you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Dang, that's crazy. I mean, he could not. The second the clock was like stroked, the 1 second, it was like, all right, that's it, time's up. Like, moving along. Like, was nothing that you just heard compelling? You know what I mean? Like that's insane, dude. I can't believe that. All right, I'll keep it rolling.
citizens, the civilians of Riverside County, and you will hear about the multiple crimes and corruptions of Sheriff Bianco, not from my words, but from their words. So without further ado, here is what the citizens of Riverside think about Mr. Sheriff Bianco.
I want to read something from the New York Times earlier this year. Video from inside a Southern California jail shows a violent confrontation in October 2020 in which 10 sheriff deputies burst into a cell of a man who was having delusions and resisting medical care. They restrained him and reportedly shocked him, leading to his death days later. Now, eventually this led to a $7.5 million settlement. With $7.5 million, please hear that. We now have a new one. Where we're going to have, there's been a lot of lawsuits. We now have this another one where a man who was wrongly accused of possibly doing a third assassination attempt by our sheriff is also going to be suing the county. You know, I mean, $1 million here, $1 million there is quite a bit of money, especially 7 million here, 7 million there. I am totally in favor of supporting law enforcement. We need strong law enforcement. I get that. But I don't like my tax dollars going for lawsuits. That's money that should be spent on law enforcement, not on lawsuits. So I encourage you, as the people who are responsible for the oversight.
Dude, let me just say real quick. This is, and I'm not saying anything negative about this individual. I'm just saying this is just a random Barbara, not a Karen, right? I'm just saying this is just a civilian coming in and saying this is how people get turned to be, you know, anti-law enforcement, right? Coming into a setting like this and saying, you know, I'm tired of my tax dollars going to lawsuits instead of law enforcement. She's pro law enforcement, right? People get sick and tired of this, man. Sorry.
Of the sheriff and for the department to please take seriously your fiduciary responsibility to know the kind of money that's being spent on this stuff. I hear say you're busy. Okay.
I stand here on National Police Brutality Day, challenging you to show independence from the sheriff and our systems. The 14th Amendment in Riverside County is practiced according to one's bank account and one's skin color. There have been over 200 deaths in the last 15 years in custody, in addition to over 100 million in lawsuits. And now we have law enforcement claiming there'd be assassination attempts when there are not. Additionally, we have no accounting of resources for this most recent political rally. And if in history is any guide, the county will be on the hook for several $100,000 that they will not be reimbursed for. Please, in honor of all who have been injured or died in the hands of law enforcement, show some independence. Thank you.
Good morning, esteemed board of directors. I'm here because, believe it or not, it is not because of Sheriff Chad Bianco. It is the system that allows a Sheriff Chad Bianco to flourish and wreak havoc on this county and the taxpayers here, the citizens and the residents. This board is the only body in this county that can rein in the kind of activity that we've seen with this particular sheriff, but should also consider creating systems and safeguards that will allow us all to thrive. At this point, it's an issue with equal protection. Some people are protected and served while others become fodder. They either are incarcerated because they have mental illness, they're being swept out of homeless encampments to go nowhere and to end up in a county jail that we pay over $100,000 a year for. So this isn't personal to Bianco. This is about the systems that you all have the opportunity to change. You control the budget, you control the purse strings, yet you won't. And so is it because of where your funding for office comes from that doesn't give you the autonomy or the courage, the commitment to change a system that you see is failing? You know it's failing because you're paying the lawsuits. These lawsuits shouldn't come from the general fund. They should come from the sheriff's budget themselves. Why do we as taxpayers have to keep paying for mistakes and misfeasance, malfeasance, and intentional harm to people? I want to be protected and served. I want my children to be protected and served, my grandchildren, regardless of how much money they have or don't have, regardless if they have mental illness or not, substance use or not. It's not a license to kill. Yet we are continuing to allow a system to perpetuate this kind of insanity and callousness on our residents. And it's not fair. It's not fair to anyone here. And I'm asking you to do what you know you need to do.
So a couple things real quick. So one, I believe what they're doing when they go back and they keep showing the members of the board. I believe what the recording is doing is showing you who they are and their names, right? Just in case people want to call, take action, or depending on where they're located, whatever. But for you guys that were saying, like, you know, she seems pissed off or scared or whatever, remember they just said 200 people had died in you know, under the custody of you know, their law enforcement. So you never know, she could have lost somebody that was important to her too, you know. But who knows? Just want to mention that. But here we go. I'm gonna keep it going
and rein this in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, board. My name is Luis Nolasco. I'm here this morning with the Riverside Sheriff's Accountability Coalition. We echo our concerns to the questionable actions of Sheriff Chad Bianco and the resulting lawsuit related to the recent high-profile political rally in Riverside County held on October 12th. After the arrest of Vin Miller, a Las Vegas man arrested with weapons outside the rally on Saturday afternoon, Sheriff Bianco rushed to thrust himself and the department into the media light by claiming that the department thwarted a third assassination attempt. Sheriff Bianco's heedless dash to media attention and fame needs to be addressed, and the sheriff should be held accountable for his lack of professional conduct. His self-interested conduct has resulted in additional lawsuit payout out of taxpayer money. This is the same department that has been sued over and over because of in-custody deaths, costing taxpayers and residents of Riverside County millions of dollars. The Board of Supervisors has the power of the purse over the sheriff, and it's imperative that it exercises fiscal restraint. In addition to the lawsuit, the RSO provided transportation to the venue from the parking lot, utilizing county vehicles and additional deputies at taxpayers' cost. Actions and decisions that also warrant external review and accountability. We commend Supervisor Perez for his statement urging an audit of the possible expenses incurred by the county as a result of public safety services provided at this event. This all amongst the ongoing request for immediate and urgent oversight of this out-of-control department. Thank you so much.
Good morning, board. My name is Lisa Matus, mother of pretrial detainee Richard Matus Jr., who died at Coy Bird Detention Center. Sheriff Bianco has again incurred another lawsuit with the same complaints as many others. Constitutional and civil rights violations are becoming so severe that, in my opinion, have turned criminal. Chad Bianco has again politically shamed and put Vin Miller from Las Vegas in grave danger, publicly giving his name, birth date to the world in a character assassination, proclaimed him to be an assassin, accused of being the third assassination attempt with absolutely no proof. This was about Bianco's attempt to be seen as a hero. You have a man that was cite released with a citation being accused on world news as an assassin. This was reckless, intentional, and malicious, but not surprising. This brought me back to the day Bianco posted on social media and publicly shamed and harassed my family. That in turn instigated much hate and harassment towards myself and family members. I fell into a deep depression because of this statement. One especially, Bianco asked, did they ever think that they played a huge part in the situation they find themselves in? When the truth was, I blamed myself 100%. Why? Because on November 21st, 2021, my son and other pretrial detainees were brutally attacked by deputies while being moved housing units. Richard was a pro-per defendant and had much legal files. He had so much his friends had to help him carry his belongings. A deputy that did not like him due to Richard's filed grievances for them violating his rights told the detainees to stop. Richard stated to me the deputy went up to the detainee Ray holding Richard's belongings, legal paperwork, and told him to throw it on the floor. He explained to the deputy that he was helping Richard. The deputies then proceeded to brutally attack them. With some of Richard's legal paperwork lost, these inmates, upon finding out Richard died, got a hold of us and confirmed exactly what Richard said. Richard was then told, "You are going to isolation for 7 days." Richard filed a grievance and he was told, "If you do not sign it and go to isolation, we will charge you. So it's your choice." I feel if I would have pushed the issue at the time and brought everything to light, maybe he would be alive, maybe others would be alive, there would have been change. I have read all of Richard's many grievances, notes, journals, and everything he kept when receiving his property, and it's bad. You all have read some reports only, and I'm assuming have never seen any video of death, excessive force, civil rights violations, constitutional violations. I would suggest you request all of this from every situation. You will find that written reports do not match up with what you see on the reports. The video will show different. Very soon, all of this will be elevated, and I hope that you all be known as the supervisors that were there for us as a community and acknowledge there being a big problem and be part of that change. Thank you.
Good morning, board. My name is Candace Cortez, and I'm the sister of Richard Matus Jr., who tragically died at the Coyburg Detention Center on August 11th in 2022. Month after month, new issues arise within Riverside County law enforcement, ranging from record-breaking jail deaths, the disappearance of 60 pounds of drugs, sexual assault allegations, to drug trafficking charges. It's getting hard to tell if I'm witnessing a scene out of the movie Crash or if this is our reality. Consider these headlines. Newsweek. Sheriff accused of claiming Donald Trump assassination attempt for clout. MSNBC. Riverside County Sheriff faces backlash over Trump assassination claims. Los Angeles Daily News. Sheriff Chad Bianco in the spotlight again for all the wrong reasons. These are just a few examples of the sheriff's latest blunders, an ongoing embarrassment for the community he's supposed to serve. This isn't about political affiliations, whether far right or far left. This is about the need for dignified leadership. Sheriff Bianco's leadership has already cost Riverside taxpayers dearly, and it continues to keep happening with no end in sight. Recently, he held a press conference accusing Mr. Miller of an assassination attempt, despite knowing that both the FBI and the Secret Service found no grounds to investigate. Bianco used this platform to advance his personal agenda, attacking California bail laws, instead of acknowledging the baselessness of his allegations. Since then, he has paraded himself on Fox News, never once taking responsibility for making an unfounded and dangerous claim. Now I ask you, how can someone who recklessly accuses another human of such a serious crime be trusted to oversee the welfare of thousands of inmates in our county jails? Consider the FBI and Secret Service, agencies regarded as the gold standard in law enforcement. Imagine how much worse the situation could have been for Mr. Miller without their oversight. Could he have fallen victim to Sheriff Bianco's thirst for political attention and ended up serving a life sentence?
Yep.
The culture of reckless leadership is not just troubling, it's dangerous. I demand an audit of Sheriff Bianco's executive office. The taxpayers of Riverside County are paying the price for this unaccountable, lawless governance. The lack of transparency, accountability, and leadership is sinking the ship, and it's sinking fast. The Riverside County residents deserve better. Thank you.
All right, so everyone out there, Vim Miller owns and runs America Happens, and he also runs the Blood Money podcast. So make sure you guys check that out as well. So after all this happened, like what's life looked like for you after all this occurred?
I mean, sorry, I'm like texting another individual that wants to do an interview.
I know you got a lot
fucked.
going on.
I don't know. It's kind of fucked because like man, it's like go to the gas station and people stare at me because every single version of me has been posted all over international news. It's not like, you know, I could gain some weight and look different. It's like every single version of me, like I said, with a hat, without a hat, fat, skinny, it's all out there, you know? You know, my parents are being evicted, and I just think to myself, if I ever had to, you know, right now I have an address, which I won't say, different from where my parents are at. And I think, what happens if I have to get a lease, you know? What if happens if I have to get a job, you know? And it's like, all this stuff is out there, and knowing the knee-jerk reaction of people that have realized I'm not the guy, but they're still coming up with stuff. You know, I had a divorce like 9 years ago, and divorces get nasty, and there's a lot of false accusations, and like the stuff that my ex said, which by the way happened in a completely unlawful court. That was corruption too, because she's very wealthy, her family's very wealthy, and they did criminal things. But when you're a dude going up in family court, you know, 90% of the time you lose unless you have a lot of money behind you and power behind you. And even then, if it's money, power people, the woman usually wins, even if the woman's like an abuser, you know. That's the reality of family court. So, you know, that information's like posted all over the place. People are trying to, you know, even though they know I'm not the assassin, they're still digging up that stuff and, you know, posting it all over the internet. I've lost all anonymity, you know. And the crazy thing about the good news, I guess, is that after working 30 years in Hollywood, there's not much there. You know what I mean? They're picking on a divorce situation because there's nothing else, you know. There's no record, there's no wrongdoing, there's no misdemeanors. And, you know, you have all these internet sleuths like with a fine-tooth comb trying to go through your whole history and just posting it all over the place, you know.
Yeah,
so
trying to further smear you.
What they yeah, and what they created is like pretty much a man that has nothing to lose anymore. So ferociously, you know, like today when I called the DOJ, FBI, I'm calling these people out. I'm calling them out on a systemic level because, you know, the sheriff should not have been, after you heard what those people said over there, right, in terms of his leadership and the calamity of his leadership, I should have not gone through that, because that board and other individuals, the watchmen and the watchwomen that seem to be grossly missing from our country right now, they're not there. So we're here on the internet independently trying to get the word out to fill the absence of good media and good public servants, you know. And these people, man, like that, you know, those are still images, by the way, because it's not like the camera focuses on them a lot. And I put it on a reoccurring level because I want people to see who these individuals are with their expensive clothes, their manicures. They're looking down upon the people, not even listening to them, you know, cocky, like it's, you know, and they're doing inside deals with one another where their raises go up. You know what I mean? They're making ungodly amounts of money, all of them, and they're in cahoots with one another. But then the rank and file cops, which by the way is also good news for me, because if he didn't screw over all those cops that he promised he was going to give a pay raise to if they supported his candidacy, I wouldn't have a dozen whistleblowers coming out and sharing information, sharing internal documents. Like all that stuff is happening because of his bad behavior, his disloyal behavior, you know? And so, I mean, there's definitely blessings. I think the blessing is that there was 50,000 people and they did this to me, you know what I mean? And like, you know, I don't think anybody else, for the most part, I don't think would have even had the network resources to handle this. They would have been squashed, and they would have probably unjustly been thrown in jail, and, you know, just horrors, you know what I mean? But
it's funny because I heard you when you went on John Crump's show. I heard you say something along the lines of like, thank God they did it to me, like someone that owns a media network, someone that, you know, runs a podcast, someone that has network connections from, you know, your previous endeavors. And I mean, they definitely did this to the wrong person. Shout out to Steve Wu, by the way. Thank you, man. Gifted 5 DLD After Dark channel memberships, brother. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. But Vim, I heard
the thing that isn't often discussed, and I really need to tie this together because this shows like interstate conspiracy between rogue police departments. So after this is done, the feds say that there's a nothing burger here. They're just like, we're not even interested in this. October 12th, right? Quickly, I think they looked in my background, found that the IDs were legitimate. There was nothing of concern. But yet on October 13th, after the sheriff does his press conference with all those insane accusations, anti-terrorism officers show up to my parents' home in Las Vegas and they're looking for me,
yeah, I heard it was supposed to be a welfare check, which they would usually just send regular officers, but they sent an anti-terrorist task force to look for you.
If they do it under the guise of terrorism due to the Patriot Act, there's no due process. They could have basically killed me if I was there, and then it wouldn't go through its channels. Like, it's investigated because I'd be dubbed a terrorist, and because of the Patriot Act, there's no due process. So at this point, I am nearly certain that the goal there, and by the way, this was not authorized by Sheriff McMahill. That's what he's already stated. The goal seems to have been to basically kill me in that exchange and shut it up. And then the news would basically come out with all this news that I was like running this alt-right, extreme right network, which is bullshit because this network actually was started as a response to George W. Bush and his Patriot Act. And, when I was a Democrat. So that's very hard to kind of sell if I'm alive to tell the story. But if now the mainstream media takes over with their propaganda machine, they would have said he's running this extreme right network. Anybody that's been on my shows would then be discredited because, they've been on the America Happens network, and it basically takes down pretty much the entire right-wing pro-Trump movement, the conservative movement, because they've nearly all been on our shows or they've all been featured. And it would have been just the ripple effect of that, which I think was what they're looking for. In fact, notice how when he says that I'm supposed to be a sovereign citizen, then the media seized on it. Sovereign citizen with guns and high capacity cartridges. Like, he gave the media exactly the stereotypes they wanted, and they just ran with it. You know what I mean? There's so many things wrong about this. It just, I think, in a way, this has been a blessing because it highlights a lot of the core issues right now we're facing with a police state, with no constitutional rights, with essentially these people coming into power because of lobby groups and special interest groups, and they're not beholden to we the people. And as you see from the board, they could give a rat's ass what people are going through. I mean, those people have been making those complaints for years. But thing that turned on, is that for us? You know what I mean? Like, dumb look on his face, and just.
Yeah, that was crazy, dude. And that's and who knows, like, if let's say they did show up to place this anti-terrorism task force to try to at least arrest you, if not worse, right? Who knows what they would have found on your computer, or that how they do things,
I was sent tips about child porn being inserted on my computer, which has happened before. I've been warned about, lone gunmen that are pissed off, and both on the left side because I support Trump, and on the right side because they're left with the impression that I'm trying to harm Trump. Like, it just, it's pretty crazy, dude. It's pretty crazy. It's really crazy. Like,
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just insane. It's like they had every storyline stereotype covered in this, and he fell for it as a supposed constitutional sheriff. And then when you look at him, he's really an unconstitutional sheriff, not a constitutional sheriff, just because he told Gavin to go F himself because of these mask mandates. I mean, he didn't keep small businesses open. Those businesses still went bankrupt. He didn't stop the death jab from being forced onto people via quote unquote mandates, and it's sad that things have gotten so bad that, when a person even peeps a positive word in the direction of freedom, as opposed to action, they're looked at as some kind of a hero or some kind of like a good candidate. It's that because things have gotten that bad. You know what I mean? And then, you know, then they mentioned sovereign citizen, which is ridiculous, by the way. Think about that. He made me out to be a sovereign citizen, and the first like rule of being a sovereign citizen is you're anti-government. Yeah, I ran for office in 2022. I've been supporting Donald Trump for governmental office. I've said many times, you know, the legal implications of what government is, because people come to me and they have come to me before, and especially now they have come to me asking me to join anti-government groups. And I'm like, dude, government is an inanimate object. It's not like government can't harm anybody. It's the people within government, right? So idea of like anti-government, which I am 100% against, and clearly by my actions, you know, which speak louder than just words, you know, but again, the mainstream media was given the stuff they need in order to paint these Donald Trump fans as like, you know, mentally ill, gun-toting, anti-government individuals that are going to cause chaos. And there's nothing but lies in that, because this movement has always been about fixing government so it operates for we the people, as opposed to we the elite and we the tyrants.
Damn. You know, and that's, God forbid, you know, somebody stands up for freedom, liberty, and independence, and, you know, you see what happens, right? Like, now, in this situation, you were traveling from Nevada to California, and some people have asked just the you know, basic question of, well, you know, what I guess what made you keep the guns in your car? Did you think about like, man, should I, you know, should I not roll with it? Because look, all of us, and I could say like everyone in chat, if you're strapped right now, even at my house, I got a gun in my waistband right now, right? Like, all of us carry guns, but was there any moment that you were like, man, California is totally you know, against really all natural rights that are supposed to be protected by the Constitution, but did you think like, man, maybe I shouldn't bring my guns? Or did you, or
I mean, the practicality of it was the practicality of this situation was that I was chasing semi trucks in California. So, you know, just as a matter of safety, like, and because of the dangers involved in any investigative journalism, especially after 2022, when I started receiving death threats in Nevada. Also, I never was into guns in California. I grew up in California, but only when I moved to Nevada and I was doing these content that, you know, pisses off powers that be, you know, that's when I started getting death threats. So then that was the first time I was like, all right, should buy some guns. And that was the recommendation of other individuals that I know that do this kind of whistleblowing style journalism. And so I purchased the guns. Now imagine this, I'm leaving Nevada, I'm going to California. I know that I'm going to be chasing semi trucks, right? Because I've been collecting information. And I know the mechanics of what that is, which is that I'm basically in a SUV in areas where these semi trucks, because I was told they're all going to be congregating in the same area, they're not allowed to separate. It's almost like they got to create their own little island there and like not leave the bounds of that, which tells you about the high level of security that was surrounding these things. And you know, I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I got images of this. I've documented it, like literally in the middle of nowhere, truck stop. And I'm defenseless in case something goes down, right? So it made prudent sense to actually take guns with me, right? And then I'm leaving from there, and while I'm in California, I learned about this Coachella rally. And since I'm there, a lot of my friends are going. We're talking about, you know, all these RVs that are going to be there. We're going to hang out and have a little get together, outdoor party after the rally. And, you know, and I'm like, okay, I could leave the guns at a friend's house in California, which is actually a lot more it's more of an issue, because if some, you know, it's like my guns are in my possession, I know they're with me, right? My guns not being in my possession at some random house, which, by the way, every single friend of mine in California in those regions has had a break-in within the last 6 months, because California and their lawlessness. And literally one of the places I was staying, funny enough, if you look at my social media Instagram, like a month and a half ago, there was a break-in and they stole a lot of things. Now imagine they stole my guns, and now those guns are used to cause harm, which is also the reason I declare my guns when I go to rally, by the way, because as a responsible gun owner, I feel and in Nevada, the cops have no issue with that. But I feel so like as a responsible gun owner, I should tell the police. A lot of things could happen. One of them is that if somebody breaks into my car, takes them, it's just a responsible thing to do. So I'm thinking I'm doing the responsible thing. And then on top of that, I was never going to a rally with those guns. See, that's the confusion, because every Trump rally has two distinct locations. The parking lot is about quarter mile to half a mile, sometimes more, away from the actual rally, the inner perimeter of the rally. And the reason they do this is because a car bomb could also cause a lot of death, damage, potential assassination, right?
Yeah.
So knowing the mechanics of all this, it was never in my mind that I'm entering a Trump rally with guns, like how they make it seem. Because that would be idiotic, something I'm not interested in. You could never make it happen anyways, because you got to go through metal detectors, frisk, whatever. It's not like they just let you in with whatever you want to walk in with.
Yeah.
By the way, they don't even let you walk in with a vape, dude. They don't even let you walk in with a vape. There's been a lot of rallies where I've showed up and you go through the metal detector, you got to empty all your pockets out, and I enter the vape out having just bought this damn thing for $25, and they're like, you could either leave or we're going to toss it. And obviously I choose to toss it, but that's happened a few times actually, because you can't bring anything in. That's the crazy thing. It's like, you had a card that had a metal edge to it, they wouldn't even let you bring that in, because these are highly secured locations, right? Which also tells you that this sheriff, either he thinks the Secret Service and the feds are idiots and they don't know how to do their job. It's just obvious. Everything's obvious. It's obvious that this guy was not even there's security, and then there's being an imbecile. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah. Anybody that rolls up to law enforcement and they say, "Hey, I just want to let you know that I do have 2 firearms with me." Clearly you don't have the intention. You're not running past the barrier screaming Allahu Akbar. Come on. That's insane. But they're painting you as this guy that came in with all of these hidden guns and fake IDs. They painted you as a straight up assassin. The first time I heard it, I hit up Flying Rich and John Crump, which came on their show, and I was like, man, something is not right about this, dude. This is just, and it's blowing up. It's all over the place. Something's not right about this. But let's be real. A shotgun, unless you're within, 50 to 70 yards with the best, flight control or slugs, or, you could probably throw a slug out to 100 yards. But either way, that's absolutely absurd. And a handgun, come on. But now through this, as you're coming in, right, is this like a totally controlled area where they were going to search your vehicle too? Or did you feel like you had to do it because they were going to find them either way, so you wanted to declare them? Or did you just do that to be courteous?
No. I had no idea that they're going to search anything. I think that's kind of, I'm not sure if they were searching. I wasn't even at that point that I was seeing exactly what was going on in terms of searches and that sort of thing. It's just regular practice for me to declare it. And I figure if they had any issues, they could do a whole bunch of things, like do a U-turn, drop it off somewhere. You know what I mean? It's not, I didn't think this would at all lead to you're going to get accused of trying to assassinate the former president. That was such a leap to me that my head wasn't even in that direction. It's you could imagine, it's just not a normal thing that happens under those circumstances, especially when you're declaring, your firearms, and you're a Second Amendment, law-abiding citizen. The serials reflect that I purchased them. It's just, it was never thought in my mind,
Yeah, that's absolute insanity. Now, do you have a Glock and a shotgun you need to replace now? Did I imagine that they still have the firearms?
They still have it. Yeah, totally.
What kind of, it was a Glock?
It was a Glock 19, I believe, 9mm.
Okay.
And frankly, both of them have never been fired because, that's probably the one thing I should have learned how to use those guns. But I bought them, and it's like I'm so into the content. If you look at the America Happens Network, we've produced such an outrageous amount of content for this small team that I just get wrapped up in that. And my friends are like, man, everything you did was right, but you're an idiot for not learning how to use your gun, because if something really goes down, they're like, you got to get, muscle memory. I mean, they explained to me why. They're like, your wrist is gonna, you got to build muscle around your wrist. It has like a kick to it, and all this kind of stuff that, I've just never been a gun guy. I mean, I never bought a gun in California until, moving to Nevada, and now I'm in my mid 40s. You know what I'm saying? Where that's the first time. So I just had, I'm a staunch Second Amendment advocate, but it's like guns have just kind of never been my thing, to be honest with you, but now they're going to have to become my thing, because now it's like, with all this craziness, somebody's like, you got to get this vest to wear, like the light ones that, for, James O'Keefe, for example, who I'm friendly with, he wears a vest a lot of the time when he's in public. And
Yeah. There's, I mean, I will say, like, ballistic vests have come a long way, but there's this one particular type of vest, because usually armor for pistols is, thin, soft, like Kevlar like material, and armor for rifles is usually hard plates. But this company, Safe Life, makes these. Uh, it's a soft, Kevlar like armor they call it FRAS, which is flexible rifle armor. Dude, it is, I mean, it's crazy expensive, but it is the best stuff on the market. It's gonna hurt if you take a round from a rifle, but man, anyone that does take a round will be happy that they had it. But man, maybe we can find a way to help you replace some components or the firearms or something like that, because the fact that they took guns that were obviously, regardless if you were transporting them or not, to my knowledge, and I don't know if there's somebody out there, let me know, if a Nevada, if someone that is from Nevada, that followed the laws in Nevada, lawfully purchased firearms in Nevada, is lawfully transporting them, I mean, to my knowledge, that's not against the law in California. But obviously, this rogue sheriff is just trying to do whatever to, say. He said, "We know that we prevented the, assassination, the next assassination attempt." He also said that you actually said, he said that you said that you were there to, like, that is insanity. Like, there's body cams. You had recorded what? Hours and hours of the situation. Like, what does he think, that like the truth isn't going to come out?
I mean, it's crazy, because that's how, like, if you hear the lady speak, there's been so much suppression of justice, people being bullied, people being forced to sign stuff, straight up like gangster type stuff. And, one of my colleagues that does a lot of research, runs another publication, said that he literally comes from a mafia family. You know what I mean? So and I don't know if that's true. That's what my friend said. And so if that is the case, and they have like this generational, we're above the law type stuff, and now he's brought that mentality into law enforcement, I mean, you could see where that's going. You know what I mean? Somebody that is like, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. It's like a monarch, and damn be anybody, like, F them. You know what I mean? And that is just, man, it's insane, because there's no watchdog. It's not like I've been able to, I called the feds, as you know, on a live. And it's not like, they're like, oh, do you have a lawyer? I'm like, you fuckers, this is your purview. This is what you got. Like, you guys are supposed to be doing this. Why do I have to spend my own money to somebody when they're doing criminal deeds? Like, he did criminal deeds. It's international. It's like character assassination, but yet, where's the, they'll do nothing. I already know that they'll do nothing. You know what I mean? So it's not even like our legal system works when these people commit crime. Our legal system just doesn't work. I mean, it's a joke. We all know it's a joke. They could go after Donald Trump and take $600 million from him over BS, including one sexual harassment allegation from somebody that's clearly mentally unstable, that nobody ever saw and nobody ever witnessed, and he had to pay $85 million, and they changed laws to even make that possible. And when I say change laws, it's not like they're changing the natural law. They're changing the statutory laws, which are all bullshit to begin with. You know what I mean? These victimless crime type laws where there's no evidence, it's just hearsay, and then the dude has to pay out 80 something million dollars. So I mean, it's a shit show, dude. It's a joke. You know what I mean? And funny enough, when this stuff started becoming really, you know, a lot, I'll tell you straight up, like I started thinking things like, should I just move to like Moscow, where they seem to have a much more civilized society today, where, you know, I'm like, you know, and I shouldn't be thinking that because I grew up hating communism, because our kind of like a country which I'm not from, but I'm of that culture, which being Armenia was a USSR republic. And the news from that experience was that it's a bad experience, right? Yet, you know, I'm sitting here going like, well, that could be one of the places I'm protected because Edward Snowden is. And I'm also, it's a journalist that seems to be, you know, being attacked. I mean, he wasn't a journalist, but he became almost like an investigative journalist, whistleblower type. And, you know, I'm thinking about where I could be safe as a person, you know, or as a human, I should say. Person is their legal bullshit term for those that understand law. That gives them jurisdiction. But like, I'm thinking insane thoughts like that I shouldn't be thinking when I'm supposed to be living in the land of the free with a constitution. But the reality is, like, we haven't had that in a long time, you know?
What a sad day that an American is saying, I wonder if I should move to a communist country where, you know, some people have been killed for speech, for disagree, for whatever, you know, all the shit we hear about, right? Like
safety, where I would go there and I would shut up. I certainly would not make content calling out the Putin government, because that's a way to get killed. But like, you know, whatever, wife up, have a family, and get a job, and just kind of move on from all this insanity. And yes, you do think crazy thoughts like that when, you know, you go to the market and people are looking at you like they want to pop you, or you're getting messages, you know, like today I get like some emails added and it's like, you know, so you want to dance. And I know what that means, you know what I mean? So you want to dance, you know, it's like, it's this underhanded threat. And, you know, it's like, that's a kind of, but then there's been very overt threats, you know what I mean? Like where you're trying to kill the president, you know, I'll fuck you up, that sort of thing. And it's just crazy, dude. It's crazy.
I mean, it is crazy. You brought something up that I honestly didn't put much thought into, was that, now, because of what's happened, you know, you're being falsely accused of, you know, wanting to harm the former president, Trump. Now you have enemies on the left that, you know, people of opposing views. Right now you have enemies on the left, and now you have enemies on the right of people that believe that you were actually trying to hurt, who may not know, right? And that's why it's important that you do come out on as many, you know, shows and platforms and podcasts as possible to set the record straight. Like that's insanity, dude.
And people hating on me because I'm now lawfully through media, through filing reports, trying to remove a constitutional sheriff in their eyes, by the way, because he's an unconstitutional sheriff in his actions. But he's been selling this, you know, I'm a badass. I told Gavin Newsom to F himself over mask mandates. And so people have this impression of like, he is the one, you know, knight in shining armor in California. And so, oh, you're trying to take that guy out? Like, well, you know, you're the bad guy now. You know what I mean? Sorry, I just put my wire here.
No, you're good. You're good. I just this is all just crazy. It's making me kind of think too that you know, one of the things that you do is you do investigative journalism for documentaries, and for all the people that have come in here, you know, that joined us recently. You we were talking about it earlier. You were doing a documentary on like 150 tractor trailers, 18 wheelers, like the massive 54-foot, you know, huge 18 wheelers, filled with ballots. And it seemed like a whole like operation that was, you know, tracked and monitored. And then all of a sudden, next day you went to the rally and got.
I handed the information to Patrick Byrne, who's been one of the people that have filed multiple lawsuits. He used that information in his lawsuit in Massachusetts, where I think they had a good judge, so the timing of it was pretty great. And that was what I was doing for the entire week before in California, was basically chasing down these semis, and I have evidence of that too. I showed it, because people are like, they want to verify everything now. Like when I'm like, oh, I changed the name of one of my passports, my American passports, to not reflect an Armenian last name because I'm going to Muslim regions where they routinely kill Christians and especially Armenians. They're like, well, show me evidence of that. I'm like, cool, but like I have to get mini DV tapes out of storage. I don't even know where I'm going to get a mini DV digitizer, and now, what I mean? It's still on hard drives, but those hard drives I highly doubt work now because they're old ass hard drives like 16 years ago. And so, now I'm like, it's insane because, okay, I'm obviously not an assassin, but they've done such digging. They're still coming after me for statements I've made. So yeah, and I'm trying to politely answer as many of them as possible because I really want on an individual level but also on a mass public level for this to be exposed. So a semblance of normal life could return. And yeah.
I think it's kind of strange how you're investigating massive potential voter fraud, and then all of a sudden you get internationally smeared. That's it. I'm just saying, I don't know. We've seen crazier things happen, but look, man, I want to make sure that we can help in any way. We also want to make sure you're protected. So if we can help, get you another Glock, or the Glocks are kind of my
That'd be
thing,
amazing. That'd be amazing. If I could just get a Glock, that'd be awesome. I mean, I'm at a location where I have a friend that's heavily armed and stuff, but I feel a little naked without it. And obviously this thing cost me so much. Even just getting my car back was like probably altogether, like, just one day cost me $1,800 a day of getting the car. But if you look at what it cost me to get to that point, I mean, we're talking like $3,000 was just burned right then and there in that process,
Dude, that's crazy, man. Yeah, I would like to see. I'll also reach out to some folks out your way, excuse me, and see if I can maybe help get you into a class to run that handgun and become familiar with it. And
that's awesome, dude. I really appreciate that, bro. Thank you.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
You're like decked out back there, so
Oh
you
yeah,
certainly know more about guns than I do.
it's just a little passion thing, man. I love it. I'll tell you what, though, we did start a knife company. Do you need a good pocket knife?
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I got you, man.
I
Definition.
don't want to get in trouble for it, but I'm certainly not going back to any like blue commie states anytime soon. Like seriously, man.
No commie states and no commie Russia. Okay, you can't do that. No, this is I mean, technically they're 50 state legal for ownership. Carrying though, I wouldn't carry these in California because I think they have length restrictions. But we'll see what we can do to help you out, man.
You know why these stupid laws, I think, started is because there was a lot of gang violence. There was a lot of road rage shootings in California. And it sucks that the lawful, weapons owner, firearms owner is now put at risk because, like when it comes to like the two things I was ticketed for was having 14 bullets in my mag instead of 10 because in California it's capped at 10, and also having the mag loaded in the Glock, right, which is totally lawful in Nevada. But the lawful gun owner now has to separate their gun from the mag, and that criminals don't, they have their bullet in the chamber. So it's just ridiculous that people are dying, most likely 100% or most, I know there's statistics out there somewhere, but it's because we're going for the lowest common fear denominator, which is how they steal our rights. And now you have all these people realizing that, oh, this Van Miller guy really did nothing wrong other than carry lawful guns, and his life was destroyed. And you think that wouldn't make people dissuaded from being lawful, gun owners and observing the Second Amendment due to these fear tactics? And it's sad that some people on the right side that are supposed to be constitutional are falling for that fear tactic and saying things like, why did he show up to the rally with guns, which is a mischaracterization because I showed up to a parking lot, to park my car and then walk half a mile to the rally. But in their head, it's like, oh, you know, if you're carrying guns, you might become Van Miller now. And that's just insane, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in most cases, if you think about criminals, you know, they're not going to follow any laws in procuring a firearm, carrying a firearm, using a firearm, because let's be honest, no matter what, murder is always illegal, right? So if there, it doesn't matter, like, and everything that you know comes prior to that doesn't matter. They'll break any rule, law, or regulation regardless, because you know robberies still illegal, murder still illegal, so they can put any restriction in place that they want on firearms at all, and they're still going to do whatever they want. Obviously, we know the only people that that impacts are the people like us. And honestly, if I were going to something like you know, a rally or like a protest, or and if I knew that I couldn't carry a firearm at the final destination, I always carry a gun. Carrying a gun right now, right? Like it, I would probably carry it with me in the car and then leave it in the car and walk to the. So this could have happened to me or anyone else like me. Probably the you know all the people in chat right now could have happened to all of y'all, because you guys would likely do the same damn thing. So it sucks to see that this happened to you, man. And if there's any other ways that we can support you, you know, obviously we want to push the people to, so it's America Happens is your media outlet, right? And
evidence is being posted on Not Them Miller on Twitter, but also America Happens one, but mostly Not Them Miller, where daily I'm posting stuff that just, you know, shows the truth, but also posting, you know, things like what we saw today, where I'm calling the feds and, you know, seeing if they'll even consider doing something. Tomorrow I'm going to call the DOJ, you know, both California and federal. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, before we do wrap up, you also do a podcast called Blood Money, and you've done some pretty crazy stories where other people's lives have been ruined. Where, and the you were talking about the documentary you did on Bundy. Weren't like who was it that like literally like just out of nowhere within 5 weeks started like getting sick and just passed away and died? Like, I mean, you really seen all sorts of types of government corruption, well, alleged government corruption, and things that have literally ended people's lives.
Yeah. Basically, Bundy versus Deep State was instigated by, you know, the documentary was instigated by Mike Little, who was one of the writers of this lawsuit. He had spent 9 years writing this lawsuit that basically exposes the federal government corruption, how they don't own any land in Nevada. It was that information that was presented to the court when the Bundy brothers and the father, Cliven Bundy, were in jail for 2 years, by the way, with no due process. And after 2 years, when they made it to court, Mike Little said, submit this information that shows the federal government owns nothing, right? In terms of Clark County, and it's all based on fraud. So once the judge sees this, she decides to bring back essentially a motion to dismiss the case, which she had rejected at first, but this time she is emphatic about it, which really indicates that she was trying to avoid the evidence of the federal government not owning any land in Clark County. And then they released the Bundy family, the Bundy men, right? And so, you know, years later, he's actually going to file a lawsuit. This was, now we're talking about June of this year. And just as he's about to file it, like literally 2 days before, he falls deathly ill, starts losing weight like crazy. To myself and some of the other people involved in the lawsuit, actually in the writing of the lawsuit, it seems very much like he was poisoned by radiation or something. Towards the end of his life, he started to bleed internally everywhere, like his insides were microwaved or something. It was very weird. And he died within 5.5 weeks. And as the story tells very clearly, other people had to step up to move the lawsuit forward. It was actually filed on the America Happens website. There's a link where you could download the entire lawsuit, as well as watch the Bundy versus Deep State documentary, which is in the featured section, you know? So I was working on that. That was, Mike Little died August 24th. I stayed pretty much in my studio for an entire 2 weeks because I felt like I had information that could either cause me harm or I had to just dump it and move on with my life. I edited all the footage together, released it by September 10th. Then I got the tip of the 150 semi-trailers, which, you know, basically the first week or so of October, that's what I was doing. I was, you know, chasing leads, talking to whistleblowers, gathering evidence, images, testimonials. And then October 11th, I handed that to Patrick Byrne. And then October 12th is when I was arrested on these false allegations about trying to cause harm to Donald Trump.
Damn. You know, it seems really interesting to me that the people that are committing their lives to unearthing corruption and, you know, shit like that seem to get their lives destroyed by some type of government entity, right? Like, you know, it is not far-fetched to think. And okay, I'm just saying.
There was a, sorry to interrupt you. There was a, so let's go back to the 60s, right? There was a famous reporter that was, there was a lot of investigative journalists back when TV started, right? But honestly, a lot of them were killed and threatened. For example, when the JFK assassination happened, you guys could search this. There was a lady that was about to do a big expose on the JFK assassination after talking to the guy that killed Lee Harvey Oswald. What was his name? Jack Ruby. After talking to Jack Ruby, who at that time was spilling a lot of beans, really he was, she was going to do a big expose, and then she ends up dead, right? Gary Webb, who you know, was doing the story about how the CIA or clandestine agents of the CIA put crack and guns in the Watts and Compton in the early 80s, which anybody I've talked to about Los Angeles, all of this, you went from Los Angeles in the 70s being really nice to all of a sudden a huge influx of guns in the early 80s that seemed to have come from nowhere, and crack cocaine. Well, Gary Webb was suicided by, you know, killing himself with 2 gunshots to the head, which is interesting.
And if I'm not mistaken, I just want to add, wasn't it 2 shots to the back of his head?
Something like that, something ridiculous.
Something, you know, like impossible to be self-inflicted, but I think to this day it's rolled as a suicide.
Yeah. And so, you know, there's many others. It's not hard to find them. And essentially, and then lawsuit-wise, lawfare-wise, they allowed lawsuits to go forward against media companies, and they just got scared. And now we have this news that's not news. And having been in that business, I know that news is basically propaganda made by PR firms and lawyers, big power PR firms and lawyers in Los Angeles, Washington, New York, Chicago, that really dominate what is like 95% of the stuff that you see on the news is based upon that, you know, including, let's say, they want to sell the Iraq war despite there being no weapons of mass destruction, no evidence of mass destruction, the weapons of mass destruction. Scott Ritter comes out and says this is all BS. They destroy him. Phil Donahue has his talk show. He goes against the narrative. They cancel his show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you have these weaklings, these beta men now, all these like strong personalities that were willing to speak the truth are moved out of the system because they're not following the narrative. And then you have the sorry ass state of this country. Honestly, the sorry ass state is, a lot of it's due to these, you know, toxic males that they didn't like speaking the truth, moved out of the system. And look at us. I mean, we're such a pathetic country right now. Really, we are. Like, we should have a like a hardcore tradition of investigative journalism and whistleblowing. People that have the courage to investigate and whistleblow should actually be uplifted, their lives made better. I mean, they print money anyways. It's not like it's based on anything real. It's all fake money. They should be given wealth for having the courage, and like a witness protection program type thing, where for having the courage to expose stuff, they're protected by government. But what it is, it's like they've allowed these people to be destroyed. And we're in this pathetic right now. We're just really pathetic, man. It's actually disheartening. The part that actually makes me optimistic is what I said early on, which is that guys like you and, you know, couple of hundred others that are doing their own podcasts are now able to go toe to toe with the mainstream media, which tells you how much people trust the mainstream media. Roger Stone and like Alex Jones speak more truth, like in 3 minutes. And yes, they don't get everything right, and they attack you when you get that one thing wrong to discredit everything else you've said. But if we had that same practice with the mainstream media, I mean, there's nothing credible. You could discredit the mainstream media a lot more than you can in Alex Jones.
Oh,
And that's
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it's so crazy too, because like going back to what you said, Scott Ritter was completely destroyed, smeared, and in like 2010 or 12, something like that, he was on there was a live session. I forgot what it is, some kind of session, and he stands up and he was um in some type of like director role. I can't remember right offhand, but he had stood up and he had said, "Hey, if we continue to expand NATO, I will tell you what is going to happen. Russia is going to attack. They're going to invade. They're going to annex Crimea, and it will start a war and all this stuff." And they all, like, probably because his reputation was squashed from all the shit in the past, nobody listened to him. No one said anything. Excuse me. And then like 10, 12 years later, boom, literally exactly what he said was going to happen occurred. And people still to this day are like, "Oh, but it's Scott Ritter," or whatever. Like, the people that do take a stand for what's right or what's righteous, they should be uplifted, because what they're doing is they're calling out corruption. And this corruption is, people that have malleable morals, that are willing to bend their integrity and bend their morals for personal gain, private gain, financial gain. And that's the shit that we need to totally wipe out. But the problem is when we do start doing that as a culture, right? If we have an environment of calling out corruption and squashing it, then how high will that go? Because everyone is corrupt at some degree from
now it's like that. Now it's like that because they got rid of all the good people. Like they got rid of the good police. That like we're standing up to these like ridiculous like laws and directives and the wokeism. So you just have a bunch of weaklings right now that are just getting a paycheck and doing what Big Daddy tells them to do.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
This is why when I say stuff like, I'm like, I was seriously thinking about moving to Russia or somewhere else. Like, it's like, okay, the logic there is if our country no longer has freedom of speech, freedom of press, they're trying to take our Second Amendment away, and the promise of the Constitution and freedom and liberty is like long gone. So, why not move to, another place? Like, why not move to like Philippines or Vietnam or something, or like somewhere where it's got a nice beach and you could actually just kind of like, as long as you shut up and don't, bother the, government there, they would just leave you alone and have you live a pleasant life. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. It's just crazy that that's where we're at right now,
Yeah, I know. I part of me though just feels like, even though it sucks and it's frustrating and what's happening to you is just absolutely just it's I can't even think of a word other than just inhumane, terrible. Like it's disgusting. Staying here and calling out corruption and evil and calling it for what it is, and just casting that out to your viewers, your audience, the people that follow you. It's important. So you're doing an important thing, man. So I encourage you to keep it up. Please don't move to Russia or the Philippines. And I'll make sure that all of my people, follow your Twitter, because I know you're going to be continuing to drop, evidence as time goes on, right?
Yeah, of course. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, so the interesting thing about this is that I haven't even dumped the full load of stuff, right? The full load of stuff, if it were to be dumped, and by the way, a lot of people that I respect that are powerful patriots already have copies of everything, because in case something happens to me. So, the recording I released is with the first minute, right? That goes out for 12 hours until the battery ran out. And so you got another at least 2 hours of them ransacking my car, breaking the law on multiple counts, many more defendants added to the case because they were breaking the law. gross constitutional violations. Then you have this kind of data dump of information about the corruption in Riverside that leads all the way up to those smarmy board members, all 5 of them, and that they've made a devil's handshake deal with the sheriff where they raised all their raises, money, and forgot about they're all making, obviously the sheriff's making 300 G's, which is an insane amount of money, plus an other income of 300 G's, which there's a lot of indications where that's coming from. All that information. I mean, it's like I've only released like 2% of this stuff, but I released the 2% that exonerates me from the bullshit, right? Now, the rest of it is all about like what absolute scumbags everyone involved in this is. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I haven't, I got to keep something for the court. But at this point, you know what I mean? If it became necessary, that stuff might come out, whether it's like me, did they kill me and it comes out, or, it's like if they allow this to drag out, perhaps it could come out, or if they decide not to do anything and again, ignore we the people and our concerns, like every one of those speakers at the board meeting, there's scenarios. And so it's almost like, it's like playing a game of chess. You got to kind of wait until they make a move or not make a move and then decide what your next move is,
Yeah. And you are suing, right?
Oh, yeah, that's already been in progress. That was filed like 2 days after this incident because my lawyer, who I was friends with, we both ran for office in 2022 as Republican, she for AG, me for Assembly, kind of was like, dude, this is crazy. We all know you're not that guy. And then she decides, she's like really passionate about what she does, kind of like me, very little sleep. And she decides, oh, let me do some research on Chad Bianco, the sheriff, and finds patterns and practices that would indicate basically what you guys saw in that board hearing, which is that, this is habitual behavior. This is a tyrant that keeps doing this stuff. And while, he's destroyed many lives doing that because people were defenseless, didn't have the resources, kind of made a mistake to do it on me. You know what I mean? Because at the least right now, I've stopped him from ever having governor aspirations. I don't think he'd ever be voted into sheriff again. I think he's already disgraced. And so, yeah.
Well, it is well-deserved because he seems like a giant dirtbag, and just saying it lightly. And I heard there was a rumor that allegedly that additional income came from him investing in fields of marijuana that may be tied to some federal stuff.
Yeah. That's exactly the sort of thing I keep hearing. I'm trying to get the actual receipts on that, but certainly multiple individuals have stated that. And also a lawyer stated that he was too worried to take him on because he feels like the feds might be involved in that marijuana operation. I don't know. Again, allegedly, that's, I don't like to say anything,
of course,
concretely before I know. What I know on a concrete level is that he is immensely corrupt, that this is habitual behavior, it's recurring, that he is a Tony Soprano type that's running the department over there. And that's pretty obvious at this point,
Yeah, this is definitely a rogue collection of law enforcement officers that should not be in that job. So
yeah. What happened with the Las Vegas situation? I mean, anti-terrorism unit. Like, is this like phone calls being made, where rogue cops are supporting each other and they solve problems by just going off and killing somebody under the guise of anti-terrorism? I mean, there's a lot. That's like interstate conspiracy right there.
Yeah. They literally they had no contact or didn't get authorization or approval from the sheriff of the county that the address was in where they were coming for you. And they just show up and they're doing a welfare check. Bullshit. You got to make sure that you're as careful as you possibly can be, because people have died for way less. So keep exposing them and keep doing your thing. And if there's anything we could do to support you, we'll definitely talk offline too. And just as we wrap up here, is there anything else you wanna end on before we go?
No, just for people out there, check out the America Happens Network and my handle down there for updates, as well as America Happens 1. And also my business partner, Mindy Robinson, which is I Heart Mindy, her handle on Twitter. And that's kind of the spiel with what we do.
Hell yeah, I appreciate it. And for everyone hanging out in here, thank you so much for coming in and hanging out. I would encourage you guys to go follow him, check out America Happens, check him out on Twitter. If you weren't in here for the beginning, you need to go back and watch that 17 or so minute video, because it'll give you a very clear picture of what's going on. And what I'm going to do, guys, when I end this live stream on YouTube, I'm actually going to go over to Rumble for a little bit, and I'm going to hang out with you guys. Vin Miller is going to go do his own thing. He probably has 1,000 shows over the next couple days that he's doing just to fight to get the truth out there. And I'm going to go on Rumble where I can actually touch guns and stuff like that. But Vin, man, I so appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate what you do and just fighting to get the truth out there. That's awesome.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on your show.
Yeah, man. Thank you. And for everyone out there, just remember that we are in an active culture war. We are in a spiritual war, and I encourage all of you guys to be, cultural warriors, right? So the way that we do that is by standing up for what's right and what's righteous, and doing the right thing and holding yourself to a higher account. And some of the ways that we do that are by setting your own standards and expectations of, who you choose to be as men, as leaders in your family, leaders in your community, leaders in your church, and some of the rules I like to share with you guys at the end of every show are: rule number 1 is to be kind. It's so important that we're kind in everything that we do. That brief interaction that you have with somebody else could have a massive impact on their life. So just be kind. Rule number 2 is to live a life of care, compassion, contribution, give to others. When you bless others, you become blessed, because a hand that's open to give is open to receive. Rule number 3, because we know the only way for us to defeat evil is with good men skilled in violence. Make sure that you're becoming as highly skilled in violence as you possibly can be, and be safe, be dangerous, and keep that thing on you.
Be dangerous. Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. And Vem, again, thank you so much for coming on, man. You're awesome. All you ladies and gentlemen out there, thank you. Be safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Come join us on the Rumble later. All right, so real quick, just so you guys know, it looked like the something glitched, the internet glitched, maybe StreamYard did, but I'm gonna go set up a live show on Rumble, and we're gonna talk some stuff. We're gonna talk equipment, we're gonna talk kit, we're gonna talk just a few things, and I want to show you guys the brand new 9mm Striker Fired Glock clone that I got. That is $295. You won't believe it when you see it. It's crazy. I'll catch you on the flip side. Love all y'all. Peace. Oh, and actually, I got a new clip that I threw in here. You guys know the AJ one that I threw in here, right?
I'm almost too mad to do the show at this point. In fact, I just need to walk out of here. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Classic. But now I've equipped myself, thank you to Modern Frontiersmen, with a new clip that we can use when people are just being tarded.
Oh, I get it. You're retarded. You don't understand a word I say.